Folks, welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. I've got a message for Republican senators out there. You better get in line when it comes to this Pete Hegseth confirmation. You better get in line when it comes to every one of President Trump's picks. And there's a reason for this. The American people elected President Trump into the office of the White House. Your Republican senators, the American people elected you and your fellow Republicans to lead the United States Senate. Overwhelmingly, we want President to have a say in who he gets to surround himself with as far as his cabinet goes and his other nominations for whatever position they may be. You have a mandate from the American people to support President Trump because in the end, you're supporting us. This notion that you're going to push back against good men like Pete Hegseth, good men like Kash Patel, good women like Tulsi Gabbard, good men like RFK Jr. To me, it's out of line. Pam Bondi, good woman, going for attorney general. The reality is, if you don't stand up to the left now, if you don't stand up to the media now, they will run ramshod over you. This is their first shot across the bow. If the media wins, if this is played out in the media and the media wins, we are going to lose, and we're going to set the tone for losing at a congressional level over and over again. Set the tone now. Set the tone for winning. It is literally that easy. I'm going to go through some of these clips of senators I've got real concerns over. Joni Ernst, John Cornyn, Lindsey Graham, and others. I'm also going to play some clips from Pete Hegseth. Play some clips from those who support Pete. But we're going to really dive down into why this battle goes far beyond just Pete Hegseth and why this battle is about saving America, and it starts now. All right, before we start the program, though, I want to tell you about my friends over at Energized Health. You know, I feel like I'm some of the best shape of my life, and one of the reasons why is because of the folks at Energized Health. EnergizedHealth.com/Grant. That's where I want you to go. Learn about intercellular hydration. I just had a friend telling me, hey, how much water are you drinking a day? And I told him, and it all is based off the science from Energized Health. I changed the way I eat a little bit, no crazy diets. Changed the way I work out a little bit, no crazy workouts. And right off the bat, I lost 15 pounds in a few weeks. I have held that off now months and months later. So this works. It's transforming myself into what I believe is now a way of life for me that is no skin off my back. It's easy as can be. And the help is there with the folks at Energized Health. Daily videos, personal coaching, all kinds of resources, equipment at home that you will get to help you measure your progress in a scientific manner, not a guess game. EnergizedHealth.com. They can help you. Total mind, body, soul transformation. That's what I feel I went through. And I really, really do believe that I like, I mean, look at the skin right here. I'm looking good, right? I feel good. EnergizedHealth.com/Grant. Pay them a visit. All right, Pete Hegseth. I want the Republicans in Washington to take a page out of his book. Yesterday, he holds a gaggle in front of the media. And in front of the media, he sums it up, man. And he sums up why it's important that he continues to put up this fight. And just as much as I am going to encourage, demand really, that United States senators with an R next to their name support Pete Hegseth, I'm going to respectfully ask President Trump, do not falter, do not waver when it comes to your pick. Stand by him. He is being Kavanaugh'd. We're not going to stand for it. Pete Hegseth, go.
And I'm proud of what I fought for. I'm not going to back down from them one bit. I will answer all of these senators' questions, but this will not be a process tried in the media. I don't answer to anyone in this group. None of you. Not to that camera at all. I answer to President Trump, who received 76 million votes on behalf and a mandate for change. I answer to the 100 senators who are part of this process and those in the committee. And I answer to my Lord and Savior and my wife and my family. I'm proud to be here. And as long as Donald Trump wants me in this fight, I'm going to be standing right here in this fight, fighting to bring our Pentagon back to what it needs to be.
That's all we want. We want fighters in Washington. That was the mandate from the American people given to President Trump. It's an honor for President Trump, for all of his picks, to serve the American people who said, we want fighters in Washington. We want a change. We want the military-industrial complex wiped out. What we want is a strong military that is prepared to go to battle like no other military in the history of this nation. We don't want a woke military. We don't want transgender soldiers. We don't want maternity flight suits. What we want are warriors. Let's get back to the basics in our military. It's that simple. And here's what I really don't want. I don't want career bureaucrats inside the Pentagon deciding to go to war based on their friends who are running defense contractors, all with the notion that if we go to war here, I'm going to get a great job with one of these defense contractors. Shedding the blood of American citizens in the name of profits is not American. And sadly, I believe the warmongers in Washington, that's what it's all about. They love the idea of war because there's so much money in it. This goes for people like Joni Ernst. Joni Ernst, the senator from Iowa, she is a big supporter of Ukraine. She's a supporter of sending more money there. I think she'd like nothing more than to get the United States in a war with Russia, and all her defense contractor friends would benefit from this. Who else falls into that category? John Cornyn falls into that category. Lindsey Graham falls into that category. Susan Collins falls into that category. Sadly, I fear Mitch McConnell falls into that category. In fact, I don't fear it. I know it. So will they do the right thing and stand with Pete Hegseth? And if you stand with Pete Hegseth for one reason and one reason only, let it be to tell the American people you're pushing back against the media and Democrats who don't get to decide on this process. If you want to say you don't like the guy, you want to say you don't like alpha males, you don't like the guys that maybe can be a little wild back in the day. Who wasn't? Okay? Has a cocktail now and then. I don't believe that Pete Hegseth is a drunk, that he's not going to be able to take a phone call at 2 o'clock in the morning. He vowed that's not going to be the case. Even the fact that they're asking him these kind of stupid questions is ridiculous. But again, many of these people, they'd rather have beta males like Blinken because they can control them. Beta males like Mayorkas because they can control them. You woke so-called warriors like Lloyd Austin. To think Joni Ernst and Susan Collins and Lindsey Graham confirmed Lloyd Austin and they have questions about Pete Hegseth? This is Joni Ernst on Fox.
I did have a very long, lengthy discussion with Pete yesterday, and I do appreciate his service to the nation. I also am a combat veteran. So we talked about a number of those issues, and we will continue with the vetting process. I think that that is incredibly important. So again, all I'm saying is we had a very frank and productive discussion, and I know that we will continue to have conversation in the upcoming months.
Is there a date certain for his confirmation hearing?
I have not heard that yet. The incoming chairman will be Senator Roger Wicker, and so that will be established between the chair, I am understanding, and the nominee.
All right, listen to me. This is imperative. We have to fast track these nominees through. President Trump needs all the help he can get, and we need it. Look, 2 years goes by fast. As hard as this last 4 years was, now that we're here upon the inauguration of President Trump, I feel like I blinked and it's gone. Think how fast Joe Biden ruined this country. It's going to take a longer time to build it back up, but we need to start this right now. We have 2 years. I'm operating under the assumption we're not going to win the Senate the next time around. I'll do everything I can to make sure that we do, but I'm going to operate under the assumption that we're behind on that front. That way we get stuff done now. I don't want to go through this process again like we did in President Trump's first term, where we controlled the House and Senate and got nothing done. So you're going to get these nominees up in front of the Senate, get them confirmed very quickly.
Okay, it doesn't sound on your answer that you've gotten to a yes. If I'm wrong about that, correct me. And if that is the case, it sounds to me as if the hearing will be critical for his nomination. Am I right about that?
I think you are right. I think for a number of our senators, they want to make sure that any allegations have been cleared, and that's why we have to have a very thorough vetting process. And that's why I was happy to sit down with Pete and have that conversation with him yesterday. So again, all I will say at this time is that we did have a very thorough discussion over a number of those issues, and the vetting will continue, I am certain, through the next month or so until we approach that hearing.
The vetting. What are you vetting? Anonymous sources? Anonymous allegations? Crazy nonsense? Hastily written email from a mother to her son after her family's going through a divorce that she retracts 20 minutes later, run through the New York Times. You vetting New York Times allegations? Quite frankly, I want to call Joni Ernst names, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to be respectful. But boy, oh boy, I've got a lot of names I would like to call. How dare she vote willingly for a Lloyd Austin, confirm Secretary Mayorkas of Homeland Security, Antony Blinken, the Secretary of State, these losers that have ruined the country. And she's got questions over Pete Hegseth. She's got questions over Kash Patel, patriots that would literally shed blood for this country, for the success of this nation. That's where we are. These senators are awful. So if you don't think this is about the military-industrial complex, think again. She didn't want President Trump in office. She knew President Trump was going to upend everything. Listen to Joni Ernst back when the Iowa caucuses were happening, not supporting President Trump.
When you say fresh start, does that mean somebody other than Donald Trump?
There has been a lot of discussion. Now, President Trump in the polls, he does lead, but we do have a number of people out there as well that will say, you know what, we do need a fresh face out there. So there's a lot of different thought in Iowa, and we have probably 5-6 months here before January, and we'll see how it shakes out.
All right, well,
So see how it shakes out? I'll tell you how it shakes out. President Trump is shaking himself right into the White House, Joni Ernst. You know, we call them rhinos for a reason. Republicans in name only. It's a good name. These people aren't even rhinos. They're not even related to the Republican Party. They don't deserve an R next to their name, certainly. These people are swamp creatures. They have one goal and one goal only, and that is self-interest. Self-interest and profit. This is what I believe is happening with people like this. Then, of course, you got the Lindsey Grahams of the world. I'm going to play a clip for you from Lindsey Graham, but before I do that, let me tell you about my friends over at get21now.com. Get21now.com, 21% on your money paid monthly. All right, this is annualized interest on your investment paid out monthly, direct deposit in your account. I have signed up for this. I've gone with their 21% deal. I'm locked into that rate over the next 5 years, 21% on my investment, direct deposited into my account every month. How great is that? To me, it's fabulous. As a business owner, I don't have overhead with this investment. I don't have employees to deal with. I don't have anything. I just literally sit back and collect the money. It's mailbox money. How do they do it? It's institutionalized Bitcoin mining. They don't play around with trading Bitcoin. They don't trade around with the wild swings. What they do is they mine the Bitcoin, and then on the next day on the market, they sell it on the open market and take the money, pay out their investors, and keep doing this. So again, does it help them that Bitcoin is now pushing over $100,000? Absolutely. But it doesn't really hurt them if Bitcoin falls way down either, because what they're doing is institutionally mining this Bitcoin at a rate that is cheaper than the market. They can mine it cheaper than they can sell it, even at the lowest rate. It's awesome. NFN8 is the name of the company, but get21now.com is the website. Get21now.com. I promise you, just talk to them about this. If you've got some money to invest, it's working for me and they've lived up to their promises. Talk to them about it. See if it'll work for you. Get21now.com and call them back when they get in touch with you. So many people sign up and then don't call them back when they call back. Please, you're going to like these guys. They're good people too, and you'll enjoy your conversation with them. Get21now.com. All right, Lindsey Graham. So I actually believe, thanks to all of you, thanks to some of my fellow conservative commentators, Lindsey Graham may be now rethinking his anti-Hegseth stance on this. He also knows that if he's a naysayer, it brings him some sort of power in the United States Senate. It means his fellow Republicans have to go negotiate with them. This is Ernst, too. They know the Susan Collins. If they're the party of no, they know that fellow Republicans have to come negotiate with them, and that gives them some sense of power. They may say no off the bat, knowing full well they're going to say yes. At least I believe that is true with Graham. I believe Graham will be a yes on Pete Hegseth. I'm not convinced about Collins and Joni Ernst. I'm just not. Listen to Lindsey Graham's latest interview on Fox.
I've known Pete for a long time. I served with him in Afghanistan. The people over there said nothing but great things about him. The allegations against Pete are all anonymous sources. I am not going to make any decision based on an anonymous source. If you're not willing to raise your hand under oath and make the accusation, it doesn't count.
All right, so listen to this. This is a far cry from where he is and where we think he is. Now, I'm with you that I would prefer Lindsey Graham be primaried out. I would prefer that Susan Collins goes away, that Joni Ernst goes away. Finally, they get rid of Mitch McConnell. All of these things, we need them out of the United States Senate, and we need real fighters there. But you see now Lindsey Graham starting to move towards the Pete Hegseth camp, and I believe that is because of all of you, because of all of us, because of Stinchfield's army, the others out there, putting this pressure on. I'm telling you, folks, your voice is so strong. Call your senator and let them know you want all of these people that are up for nomination positions under President Trump confirmed.
I've heard everything about all these people. None of it counts. No rumors, no
but
innuendo.
You were there for the Kavanaugh hearings.
I've seen this movie before.
Yeah, it's a movie I don't like. It's an X-rated movie because it's disgusting what they're doing to these people. And so, again, they're using innuendo, they're using rumors, they're using the media to push the innuendo and rumors to ruin people. That's the worst part about this, is here you have Pete Hegseth. Here you have a guy who put his life on the line for this country, goes to work for Fox, seems to be a fun-loving, very nice guy. I can't find anybody that says anything mean about this guy, right? That nobody I know has had a problem with him. I haven't heard that even working with him is difficult. So you got Pete Hegseth, a decent guy, putting his name out there, and the media, like vipers, like hyenas, come to ruin him. Why? Because they're afraid of him. They're afraid he's going to upend the apple cart. The defense contractors hate the idea of him, just like Big Pharma hates the idea of RFK Jr. at Health and Human Services. So that means the money's going to flow to try to stop this guy. And they are going to recruit their media partners to come in and ensure that he gets nowhere. Now, why is Lindsey Graham moving towards the Hegseth camp? And I could be wrong on it, but I don't think I am. I really think Lindsey Graham's going to be there. And the reason I do is because President Trump knows exactly how to play Lindsey Graham. President Trump knows we don't like Lindsey Graham. President Trump knows that there are times where he falters with us, but President Trump uses him too, and he does it in such a brilliant way. Watch this.
Another man, not a lot of people know him. He doesn't do too much television. He happens to be a little bit further left than some of the people on the stage. But I always say, when I'm in trouble on the left, I call up Lindsey Graham, and he straightens it out so fast. And I'll tell you.
So he's getting boos now, right? Lindsey Graham getting booed at this Trump. I believe this is President Trump at the South Carolina State Fairgrounds.
No. Remember.
They don't like him.
I love him. He's a good man. Come up here, Lindsey. Come up here, Lindsey.
Boo, they say. Do you want to hear him? I mean, this is going back a ways. Do you want to hear him? Right now, he's a thorn in the side of President Trump, but President Trump knows what he's doing when he plays these little games and brings up. President Trump says, he acknowledges to the crowd, I know he's a little left. This is what President Trump did to me when I had dinner with him. I was talking to him about McCarthy. President Trump says, oh, I know you're tough on McCarthy, and he's working, but he knows. He was telling me he understands where I'm coming from, but he was working McCarthy because he knows he needs him. This is the same thing President Trump right now. He knows Lindsey's a little squish job, but he knows he needs him, and he brilliantly just maneuvers through this. This is why I think Lindsey Graham will be there in the end, even though I would work to have him primaried out.
Okay, are you ready? America, the nightmare you're facing is just about over. Help is on the way. This is the most qualified man to be president of the United States. And let it be said that South Carolina created the biggest political comeback in American history.
All right, so if he's the most qualified man to be president, and I believe Lindsey Graham is spot on that, not going to get a disagreement with me from here, then why are you questioning the man's picks for his cabinet? Why are you even questioning them? If you believe that President Trump is the most qualified man to be president, then you should unequivocally trust his picks and give the man who he wants to help him lead this nation back into prosperity and safety. It literally is that simple. Pete Hegseth is not accused of anything that would bar him from being Secretary of Defense. What do they accuse him of? They're drinking a little bit, but not a drunk, by the way. Nobody has claimed that Pete Hegseth is some kind of wild alcoholic like Kamala Harris is. Kamala Harris is the alcoholic, and everybody gave her a pass on that, by the way. They accuse him of womanizing a little bit. Have you been to Washington, D.C.? Everyone's a womanizer there. The amount of hypocrisy on some of these accusations is crazy. And then you get reporters asking Pete Hegseth, what about drinking and all? Really? It's unbelievable to me. So then you get guys like John Cornyn. I'm broadcasting from Texas right now. John Cornyn's a nice enough guy, but he's not on our side, folks. He's not. Does he hate America? Is he like a Barack Obama? No. But he is a swamp creature. He is a Bush-style Republican. And that's not where we want our country headed anymore. I don't think there was ever a time for them. But clearly they took a stranglehold of Washington, D.C., and it's very hard to wrestle them loose. John Cornyn's got a lot of power up there. Somebody needs to primary him here in Texas. I think it would be hard to beat him in Texas. There's a lot of people who like this guy. But I think we need to open our eyes that he's not on President Trump's side. Just watch this.
Did you discuss Pete Hegseth with Bondi?
Pardon me?
Did you discuss Pete Hegseth with Bondi?
No. Are you comfortable that he is the right man for the job, Hegseth? I'm going to let the process work itself out. I've known Pete for a number of years, and I haven't had a chance to talk to him since he was nominated, but we'll let the process work itself out.
Thank you, sir.
That's not the answer. Let the process play out. The answer is I haven't seen anything that would bar him from being Secretary of Defense. I support President Trump, and I support President Trump's picks for the office. I'm going to support President Trump every way I can. I'm going to fight for him. I'm going to stand side by side with this president. The American people have spoken. They want President Trump to be able to have and maneuver in every way possible in order to make America great again. That would be a great answer from John Cornyn, but he can't do that. I'm going to let the process play out. Screw you. Seriously, screw you. Screw you, John Cornyn. Screw you, Joni Ernst. You're not supporting your fellow Republicans. And there's nothing that is egregious by Pete Hegseth that would stop him from being a fabulous defense secretary. Let me explain to you why Pete Hegseth would be. Finally, we would get somebody at the top that comes from the rank and file themselves. Soldiers, Marines, Navy men, the Air Force. They love this guy. He acts and feels like one of them. Do you know what that would mean for morale inside the United States military to have one of their own at the helm? Pete is a super smart guy. You can see that on Fox. You know, people say, oh, he's just a TV guy. No. What you have to do, and I'm going to say this not to toot my own horn, but what you have to do to navigate a podcast like this that's an hour long, a TV show where the guests come on over at Real America's Voice, a radio show in Los Angeles where we have guests and you're navigating, you have to be very well schooled, otherwise nobody's going to listen. Pete Hegseth is a smart guy. You can see it when he's on Fox. You can see it when he interviews people. He's a smart guy, and he's not one of those interviewers who just blasts over his guests. He listens to people. I said this on the Real America's Voice show last night. The best conservative talk show hosts are the ones that listen, not constantly talk. Now, I can yap with the best of them. I can. I'm a yapper, no doubt. And I'm a bomb dropper and a flamethrower, no doubt about it. But when I get a guest on, I bring the guest on because I want their perspective on things and I'm willing to listen to them. Pete Hegseth does that. So you take his military background, you take his smarts, you take his love of America, you take his ability to listen and maneuver. I think you've got a guy who's ripe to be defense secretary, and you take a guy who is outside of the military-industrial complex, a guy that has zero ties to defense contractors. That's the guy I want. I don't want defense contractors deciding whether we go to war in the Middle East, because the defense contractor is going to decide, yes, go to war every single time. Why? It's good for business. So this is Senator Mike Lee. He was asked about guys like John Cornyn on my friend Benny Johnson's program.
Look, I can't speak for any one of my colleagues. I don't know exactly where they are on this, and so I'm not going to try to speak to that. What I can say is that there are a number of circumstances where members will want the process to play out, and they'll want to make sure that somebody goes through the confirmation process to ask them questions. That's reasonable. That's understandable. I think most of the time, most of those people among Republicans are going to get to the right answer. All we need to do is get a simple majority, and we get them confirmed. Now, I hope, I expect, I wish, I want all of my colleagues to vote to confirm both Pete and Kash. We need both of them, and I implore all of my colleagues, Republicans and Democrats, to vote to confirm them. That said, the fact that somebody isn't yet ready to say how they will vote, especially if there's an interesting set of questions they want to ask in a confirmation hearing or prior to the confirmation hearing, those two things shouldn't be confused. So I wish I could speak more as to what their intentions are, but I don't know what their plan is.
Do you believe that Pete Hegseth will be confirmed by majority in the Senate?
I do. One of the reasons is, it's one thing separate and apart from whether somebody's just hesitating and whether they have a practice of allowing somebody to go through the committee process before weighing in. It's one thing for people to say they might have concerns or they might be reluctant to vote for somebody. It's quite another to vote not to confirm a nominee from your own president on a high-profile, prominent cabinet-level position or important sub-cabinet position like FBI director. They're very different things. We got to be very careful here not to allow any very small group of Republican senators to exercise a de facto veto at the outset without ever having to go to the floor and man up, woman up, whatever you want to call it, by actually voting no. Those are two very different things. And I think some of those who may have expressed reluctance publicly or privately or both are going to find that it's much more difficult on a high-profile, important, personally imperative appointment like these ones to vote no.
Well, let's hope so. I don't know. Sometimes I think the Ernst and Collins, they don't care. You got some of the same people in the United States Congress, the House of Representatives, that feel the same way. They're not on our side. I can't not express that enough. So look, they won with Matt Gaetz. Do you understand when they won with Matt Gaetz, that fueled their fire? They felt like they've got a jet engine behind them and they can just go away and blast away whoever they want. This is why, if they win on Pete Hegseth after winning on Matt Gaetz, folks, we're starting off the first 2 years of the most important presidency of our lifetime. We're starting off with losses because of Republicans that don't want to get on board with a president who has a mandate to win. We can't allow that to happen. You know, I was watching my buddy Steve Bannon on the Real America's Voice network, where I have a show every night, 7 p.m., by the way. So I'm watching Steve Bannon talk about Matt Gaetz. And what he said was interesting. He said, Matt Gaetz should have stayed in till December. Even if Matt Gaetz knew he wasn't going to be confirmed, stay in and take the fire. Matt Gaetz would have been a diversion for the Pete Hegseths and Kash Patels of the nominee crew. They would have been so focused and flipping out over Matt Gaetz. Now, it would have been very hard for Matt Gaetz because, look, he's a tough guy. All these men and women are tough people, and they can handle the pressure. But when you have this coming at you from all directions, and they're saying the most horrible things about you and running up and running down lies about you, boy, that could get old. I've had little bits of tastes of it along the way in my career where the Washington Post, the New York Times, or MSNBC will go out there firing about me and saying things about me and calling you names. It pales in comparison to what these men and women have had to go through. And if I feel the heat on just a little bit, can you imagine what it's like to feel the heat on a national level, and you're saying, no, that's a lie, and there's nothing you can do to fight back other than try to get in front of the cameras, but they don't give you a platform, so you're having a real hard time fighting back. You come on back on shows like this, and you fight back here, but then only the conservative stratosphere is hearing you, and the rest of the public isn't. See, the media knows this, and so they put maximum pressure on. It's really a devious way to go about winning. But it works. So Matt Gaetz gets out of the way. If he would have stayed in, he would have taken the heat, taken fire from Pete Hegseth and, of course, Kash Patel. And maybe they would have had an easier time waltzing in than they do now. See, the media has to stay busy. And the media has to push back against President Trump because they're an arm of the Democrat Party. I actually believe the media is the leading arm of the Democrat Party. And as the leading arm of the Democrat Party, it is their job to push back against President Trump. So they got to find somebody. They got to make somebody enemy number one. President Trump's doing a good job right now. If you noticed, he's somewhat laying low. Hasn't been out there in front of the cameras much. Laying low, pushing off his appointments, it's like swatting a bee's nest. Letting the bee's nest go crazy. They start to die down, and then he swats the bee's nest again. But he's staying out of it and letting his people take fire. And it's actually a very, very smart strategy right now for President Trump. Folks, let me tell you about my friends over at Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is where I would like you to be. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. I've got a Patriot Mobile phone. I have for many years. There is no difference in my service. In fact, I have 2 different networks on this phone. And I can choose which one I want to use. If there's a better network that works in one city, I've got it here. I've got AT&T and T-Mobile on this phone. And so it works great for me. 2 separate lines. I can choose what line I want to use as a business owner. That helps me. It's called the Patriot One plan. 1 phone, 2 lines right here. Super easy to switch to. Just call them up. They'll give you the SIM card number. You type it in. Bing, bang, boom. You're done and ready to go. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. Why are you giving money to these woke cell phone companies that literally want to destroy our way of life? You're funding it by giving money to them. Do it today. You hear me talk about this all the time. I'm going to ask you. Do it today. Just call them at 972-PATRIOT. Heck, you can pause this if you want. Come back and watch it. Call Patriot Mobile now, 972-PATRIOT, or go to the website, PatriotMobile.com/Grant. Use the promo code GRANT for big savings, and you're not going to be disappointed. 100% U.S.-based customer service, too, by the way. All right. So Mike Lee talks about all of this. Pete Hegseth comes back, and he goes on with Megyn Kelly, and he does a great job. All right? And this is why we need this guy, because if they're coming after him like Tricky Dicky Blumenthal.
I think this nomination is doomed. All right. I would be very surprised if we're still talking about Pete Hegseth next Monday, even by the end of the week. I've talked to 5 to 10 Republicans who have said to me they're just waiting for the right moment to say no to Pete Hegseth.
Now, this may surprise you. I know Dick Blumenthal for many years. I haven't talked to him in many, many years, but I worked in Connecticut, mainstream media, when he was attorney general there. I'd interview the guy once a week. I know this guy. So oftentimes you say, oh, you know what? The left, they're liars. Dick Blumenthal's not a liar. He may actually believe Pete Hegseth is not going to be confirmed. I believe Dick Blumenthal's wrong, but here's what I want you to know, and here's where I want you to believe Dick Blumenthal. When he says he's talked to 5 or 6 Republicans that think it's doomed, that want it to be doomed, I don't doubt him. I'm telling you, there are Democrats and Republicans who are at the members' bar in the basement of the Capitol. They're toasting their scotches. They're laughing about this. They're laughing at guys like me going crazy over them. They love to get me riled up. They think they're winning. The problem is, guess what? I'm not at the bar at the members' lounge. I'm at the bar down the street in Texas, and we're toasting our scotches, and we're laughing at them, guys like Dick Blumenthal and Cornyn and Joni Ernst. We're laughing at them because their time is up soon enough. But don't doubt Dick Blumenthal when he tells you 5 or 6 Republicans are saying no, they're just waiting for the right moment. The problem is we can't give them the moment. The moment President Trump would falter on Pete Hegseth would be the moment you send a signal to these Republicans, it's okay for you to falter too. So, Mr. President, I'm telling you, every time you're in office, we get Republicans who fight, even surprising ones. People like Lindsey Graham will fight. He was great during your presidency. As soon as you're out, they falter. Mr. President, President Trump, you've got to lead on this, and I know you will, and I know you are. Do not back off of Pete Hegseth. The moment you do that, you give rhinos the excuse and the chance to jump ship. Don't let them jump ship. Hold them accountable. In fact, if I was advising President Trump, I would offer up to him, throw a few shots across the bow yourself. You're asking these people to support you on this. So Pete Hegseth had this to say, all right, about President Trump, by the way.
When I wake up, I look at my wife, we talk about it. We say, if Donald Trump can do this, if he can fight the way that he's fought with everything they've done to them, then we better learn to be able to fight ourselves.
Well, that is very good advice. If Trump can stand up after getting shot in the head, fight, Pete Hegseth can stand up to a few dopey senators, right? If President Trump could get shot in the head, stand up and say, fight, well, then I can stand up to the establishment and stand firm in my beliefs and continue to tell them to you here. And thank God there's platforms like Rumble and Getter and Truth Social that don't censor me, like Real America's Voice. You know, they've never come to me and told me what to say or do over there, ever. And I'm grateful for that from them. There's not a lot of networks out there like that. So it's going to take a lot of us, and we are strength in numbers. There's no doubt about it, but we've got to be bold. Pete Hegseth, I'm grateful for you being bold. This is Chip Roy. I disagree with him sometimes. Sometimes I like what he's doing. Chip Roy, here he is.
I agree with Pete Hegseth that wokeism is destroying the United States military. I agree with Pete that we don't need to have endless wars. I agree with Pete that we ought to have somebody who's served in battle and understands it, who's at the top of the Pentagon, rather than the brass who, frankly, often like their ribbons more than actually doing the work that is necessary to defend this country. I like the fact that we have people that the president is nominating that will take on the establishment and take on, for example, the FBI with Kash Patel. And the fact of the matter is we have senators who are wanting to challenge it. For example, the senator from Iowa who's going after Pete Hegseth, or seemingly being critical. Same individual, by the way, says and voted for an NDAA that would draft our daughters and has been fighting to draft our daughters. And I tell her, you'll do that over my dead body. There will be no draft of my daughter. Voted for the Marriage Act to codify gay marriage. Went out to her constituents and talked about how the horrible Senate border bill was somehow a good bill, and then scolded President Trump for opposing it. Voted for Garland for AG, voted for Lloyd Austin for defense, voted for Buttigieg for DOT, voted for Janet Yellen, voted for Ukraine's borders over America's borders. And with all due respect to the senator from Iowa, you're not where the American people are. President Trump is. And Pete Hegseth is. We have an obligation to change this town, or we're going to lose this country. If Republicans do not deliver, if we do not do what we said we would do, this party will end.
That's why I'm telling you, this is the fight. We had Matt Gaetz. In many respects, we lost. Matt Gaetz would have been a great attorney general, would have upended the establishment inside the attorney general's office in the Department of Justice. I think Pam Bondi can do the same thing. Matt Gaetz would have been just fabulous. We lost. okay? This is a huge loss. Make no mistake about it. We cannot lose this battle when it comes to Pete Hegseth. We are not setting the tone we need to be setting right now, and we need a unified Republican Party standing firm for President Trump and his picks. This is exactly what Chip Roy is getting at, exactly what I've been telling you. That Joni Ernst was not elected to be president of the United States. She doesn't get to make the shots and call the shots, just as the media. The media are not elected officials. They're unelected liars. And I'm not letting them call the shots.
There will not be a Republican Party if we fail in this term, this Congress, to deliver. That's not hyperbole. It's true. We will go the way of the Whigs. We will secure the border. We will return order to our streets. We will cut spending. We will move towards balancing our budgets. We will nominate and confirm, as the president has nominated, we will confirm people who will change this town, take on the bureaucracy. We will listen to and work with Elon and Vivek, root out the waste and fraud, but do it ourselves. Pass bills that actually get the job done.
Well, the problem is, in order to do that, you're going to have people that can't be beholden to lobbyists, big pharma, the industrial military complex, all of these industries that rely on government money. You're going to need people that are independent, that are bold, free thinkers, critical thinkers, and fighters. We have some of them in Washington. Now, I believe we can get a lot of what Chip Roy just said. We get a lot of that done. Cutting spending, it ain't going to happen, folks. You watch. I hope. I wish. But I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. They love to spend money in Washington. Even conservatives spend money in Washington. You know, I'm looking at some of your comments in the Rumble channel, and they're great. Phony Joni from Mad Eddie. It's really true. Joni Ernst is a phony. 20 Senate Republicans are up for re-election in 2026, according to Craig Muttley. The same... that's the only thing. What do I lost? The chat's going crazy here. Anyway, I lost that comment just as it went down here. The only thing necessary to convey to them, get on board or be gone. I agree with that. Fight, fight, fight. These are the people who need to be outed. It is 100%. Absolutely 100%. And you look at, I just looked at Big Pharma now, spending millions and millions of dollars to stop prescription drug price reform. And even more than that, they're spending millions of dollars to stop the nomination of RFK Jr. They hate him at the head of HHS. Good. Spend the money. Waste the money. You're not going to win on this one. You're not. I worry about RFK Jr.'s nomination as well, but I think we're going to get these people through with ensuring that we, all of us, continue to put pressure. This is Senator Kramer, a guy that, again, he's a Republican I don't have a lot of faith in, but he's coming on board with Hegseth, so this is a sign that we may be in a decent position.
Are you ready to vote for him?
Well, let me get you audio here.
I give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm ready to be supportive of getting him to that point. I'm ready to get him in front of the committee. I did warn him. I said, not everybody on the committee is as friendly as I am, which I don't think surprised him. But I also said, there's nobody on the committee that doesn't earn our respect. And certainly there are people like Joni Ernst and Tammy Duckworth who earn more than I'll ever earn, given their history. So I was very favorably impressed, quite honestly. Yeah, so I see no reason at this point to not be supportive of him.
Can you clarify, Senator, is he currently drinking, or is he just said he's not going to touch alcohol if he becomes...
Well, I didn't ask him if he's had a drink today or if he's currently drinking. My commitment that I was looking for was that he won't drink, he won't touch alcohol, and that he'd be ready for a phone call at 3 in the afternoon or 3 in the morning and every hour in between.
Now, wait a second. Because you're the Secretary of Defense means you can't touch alcohol? You can have a drink? What are they doing to this man? This reporter asked you the question, did he say he wouldn't drink? How drunk are you every night? I'd like to ask that reporter. Now, just because you have a cocktail doesn't mean you can't make a decision. I will say this, here's what I pride myself on. I pride myself on not ever losing control. I don't ever want to lose control of myself, of my ability to think, of my ability to act. That if I'm carrying a firearm, if I've had a cocktail, that I'm not going to be in a position where I can't use my gun. That's a judge for me, right? Like, is my physical faculties gone because I've drank? My mental faculties gone because I never, ever want to get to that point. 1 or 2 cocktails for me is not going to get me to that point. It's not going to get Pete Hegseth to that point. But they want him now not to drink. You make a pledge not to drink. These people are nuts, man. They're literally nuts. And the reporters asking the stupid questions are nuts, too.
That was a good way to put it.
And I only asked just to be clear because I think Senator Schmidt said he was told that he's not drinking, which
Good.
is different than from, I think, from what you got.
Well, I don't think that's a conflict with what he says, but I asked a different question.
Sure.
So he didn't. I don't recall that he said he wasn't, but that wasn't my concern. My concern is that he won't.
Then are we convinced by his commitments?
I believe him. Yeah, I mean, I do believe him. Now, again, there's, we're not there yet, but yeah, at this point, I see no reason not to support him. Frankly, we'll see what else happens. But yeah, I want to be supportive. I wanted to be supportive of him from the very beginning. The allegations, as I mentioned to him, and no surprise to him, are serious. But if they remain serious allegations that can't be verified from anonymous sources, well then that's what they'll end up being.
It's unbelievable. I mean, this is what they did to Kavanaugh. We got Kavanaugh in. So this is what we need. It really is. It's what we need now. Oh boy, it gets. Here's the thing. I guess it's good stress to have. This kind of stress, this kind of fight is better than the fight we had where we don't know if we're going to get President Trump yet. We're fighting against Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. This now is a fight where we're headed in the right direction. But if we lose this one on Pete, it's not the right direction anymore, folks. It really isn't. Hey, I want to tell you about my friends over at the Wellness Company. twc.health/voice to get one of your emergency preparedness kits. You know, California just had a 7.0 earthquake out in the ocean. They were thinking a tsunami was coming. Can you imagine after a tsunami, you think you're going to get prescription medications, takes out an entire town? No. Thankfully, that didn't happen, though. Scary stuff for the people in California. This is the prescription medication kit. 8 of the best, most common prescription medications. I've used it numerous occasions. I told you I used the amoxicillin in here to kill strep throat a few months ago. But I got it in my drawer. And this is about being prepared for anything. So I've got food, I've got water, I've got ammunition. Oh, I've got lots of ammunition. And I have prescription medications. So here's what you do. Go to twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT. They'll come right to your door with the prescriptions made out to you. You don't have to go see a doctor. I don't know any other company that's able to send this many prescriptions to you at once than the Wellness Company. It's about protecting your family and your friends. twc.health/grant. twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT. They got great specials going on right now. You will not be disappointed. Get your family ready. Do it today. All right, real quick, I'm going to play a clip for you of a guy who shoots a drone out of the air, a Walmart drone. This guy is about as classic as it gets. Cops show up at his house. He's honest with them. They arrest this man, but it's what he says at the end, which is beast-like. Okay? Here.
At some point today, did a drone fly over your house and you shoot at it? I'm going to be real blunt with you and ask.
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, why'd you shoot at it?
Because I thought it was somebody and turned around playing games on my house.
I got you. Where did you see the drone at?
Right above me.
What, can you walk out and just kind of show me?
Right there.
Sitting straight above it?
Straight above me.
Do you have any idea?
Hovered, lowered some kind of cord down or something, turned around and sent something back up, and then after it was shot at, it turned around and went north.
Gotcha. Okay. What'd you shoot at it with?
9mm.
Okay.
So the cop is shocked that he's being honest with him. Shoots a 9mm at a drone. First off, folks, I'm not recommending you shoot drones out of the air. All right. I'm not, because when bullets go up, they must come down. They don't just end up in space someplace. Those bullets land, and they land at a high speed, and you could kill somebody, literally. 4th of July, New Year's Eve, you go into many areas of Texas where I live, you go near the hood, especially Hispanic parts of the hood, they're firing their guns all over the place. I've got stories of bullets coming through church rooftops, hitting people, mothers and their baby strollers in parks getting hit by falling bullets. It's scary. You can't do that. But if you were going to shoot a drone out of the sky, you got to use a shotgun. You can't be using 9mm ammunition. First off, it's very hard to hit it. He did, though, which he's a good shot. Shotgun would be a better choice.
All right. How much trouble am I in?
Quite a bit. You've been honest with me. I'm gonna be honest with you. Quite a bit, actually. So there's a federal charge that goes along with it. There's a felony charge that goes along with it. That's kind of like where we're at.
Okay.
Okay.
What happens and what happens and what?
Well, before we continue this conversation, I'm really just for you being honest. You really just took me off guard. I'm not gonna.
What am I going to do? I'm going to lie.
True. All right, sir. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say
You're
will
putting
be...
me under arrest.
I'm just going to arrange you the Miranda warning just so I can get it out. That way you and I can continue our conversation, okay?
I understand the Miranda warning. I don't have to speak to you unless I want an attorney, okay?
I got you. Let me just read you this real quick, and then we'll go from there, okay? You have the right to remain silent?
Oh, man. They're arresting the guy.
Go ahead, sir.
They literally are arresting the guy.
26. I'm already talking to him.
I got to believe, as far as the cop goes, he's not happy about having to arrest this old man. I mean, he's not a bad dude. He's certainly not a criminal. You can't be firing your weapon up into the air. I mean, I guess in some respects, the arrest is warranted. I hope a judge sees through it, gives him a slap on the wrist. But I want to show you the end part of this, which is the most hilarious of all. I mean, I say hilarious. There's going to be a lot of people on the left that are going to get mad at me for saying it's hilarious, but watch.
Or else it's not that far away. So I'm under all sorts of, they say there's $10,000 worth of damage to the drone and all sorts of stuff. So I'm going to wind up having to find a real good defense lawyer.
You want coffee in the front?
Whatever you need to do by protocol.
Well, no, we have... Yeah.
We've been fine. There's no issues. We're not,
Yeah.
See, they feel bad about arresting.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
I can't breathe. So the old guy's going to jail. They arrest him, and he comes with an "I can't breathe" comment. Oh, my Lord. That guy's a beast, man. He really is. And he takes it like a champ. Doesn't even freak out. You can tell he respects law enforcement. Guarantee you that's a Trump supporter right there. I like that guy, but I don't recommend shooting at drones. Not out of the sky. I really don't. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so very, very much for watching. As always, I appreciate it. Real America's Voice Show tonight at 7 p.m. You know what we got tonight? We got the body language guy on. If you got any tips for who you'd like to see body language on, real quick, put it in the chat before I end the stream, and I'll try to do body language on whoever you think. All right. So if you want to see body language assessed, who would you like to see it assessed on from this week with our buddy Greg Hartley from the behavior panel over on YouTube? He's great. Former military interrogator. It's my favorite segment of the week we do on Real America's Voice. So, say his name, Craig writes. Oh, that's funny. So anyway, let me know if you want to see body language on somebody. GrantStinchfield.com. Sign up for the email list, please. It's my way to keep in touch with you. If anything were to happen, we get canceled anywhere, we can stay in touch with you, and it is so very, very important. Again, I'm grateful to all of you. I hope you all have a great weekend. I hope I see you on the Real America's Voice show tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time, okay? On Real America's Voice. Tell your friends, tell your family. We'll see you soon, folks. God bless every one of you. Stinchfield's Army rolls, baby.